Hi there, my name's Justin Jenkins, and I'm here in the beautiful state of Washington in the Puget Sound, and it's a beautiful day out here, and I'm here to talk to you about sailing, and try to give some tips and advice to those of you out there looking to get involved in the sailing community, and those that are looking to also buy their first boat or their second or third boat. Uh, Now, to those of you that aren't sure about going and taking the plunge of buying your first boat, there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved in the community without buying a boat right off the bat. A lot of those places are yacht clubs. Lakes, the smallest lakes to the most remote islands, you'll find yacht clubs, and they're all great. They're full of good people, and if you like the ocean and you like boaters, you'll get along just fine over there with in any yacht club you go to. Now, the yacht clubs, most yacht clubs do racing, and there's all kinds of different racing that goes on. There's long races like the Transpac and the Sydney to Hobart race, and there's races around the world. But to me, and to somebody getting into sailing, I like the beer can races myself. Because beer can races are fun, and there's not a lot of stress. And racing allows you to see what somebody else's boat will do and what it does when you push it to the max. And if something breaks, it's not your boat. So it's a good thing to go through, even if your racing's not your thing. But now, those of you that are ready to buy your boat, I'll just talk about a few things here. What do you plan to do with the boat? Do you plan to go bay sailing and stay in the intercoastal? Do you plan to go out just for the day and every once in a while and come back and go back home to your house? Or do you plan on living aboard and making it your home? Those are all really different. We'll have extremely different answers. Now let's talk about the bay sailing, okay? A bay sailor is great. I think for a small family or just a couple, something in the 16 to 22 foot range is really good. You can have maybe a little head down there, a little sink, maybe a little fridge and a bed, just something small. You can't stand up in there, but you and your family can get out there, go throw the hook somewhere on some beautiful little part of the bay, and have your lunch and just kick back and just enjoy the slapping of the waves against the hull, and that's great, and that's awesome. But what I wouldn't do is go out and buy a cruising boat to go out and go bay sailing, because it's just going to be a waste of your money. And let it out there for somebody else that wants to use it to go cruising, because ultimately that's what cruising boats want to do. They want to go cruising. They probably aren't going to tell you that, but you'll soon figure it out sooner or later. But now, to those of you that want to live aboard and just live aboard, then you have a lot of different options to do. On the cheap end, moorings are going to be your best bet. A mooring is basically a big old piece of concrete that's an anchor that's usually around a marina or a protected area in a bay, and they put a bunch of boats on moorings out there, and you're pretty much on like a permanent anchor, and you have to row to shore and put all your groceries on and in your dinghy, and every day you go back and forth, and sometimes you get wet, sometimes it's blown out and it's hard, and that's okay. Some people can do it. I can, and I love it, and some people can't. So, but you just know what you're getting into. If you go to live, but usually on a mooring they're more lax with liveaboards. Liveaboard and on the West Coast, especially in California, I mean, difficult. It's very difficult. They don't want liveaboards, and if you finally do a liveaboard the legit way, you're gonna have to pay so much money that you're almost paying as much as you would to have an apartment just right up on the hill that overlooks the harbor, and it seems kind of ridiculous. So you'll find your place. There's a lot of loopholes, and there's a lot of ways that you can figure it out. Okay. I lived in San Diego on a mooring over there. They still allow liveaboards on the moorings over there, and me and my wife Anna, we paid $135 a month for our 34-foot boat. So I think that was the best deal that we ever saw in the whole country. But that being said, to those that want to go cruising, I think it depends on which way you want to go. Okay. So Anna and I went cruising in May of 2013, and we left on our Columbia 34 Mark II. And I re-rigged it, put some new used sails, you like that? And got it dialed in, filled it full of food, put an engine in it, and we took off. And we made it all the way to Fiji, and nothing broke, and we had a great time. And but some things that while we were cruising on it, we spent a couple years cruising in the South Pacific on it, and when it started to blow, the shit hit the fan, and it wasn't a heavy enough displacement. There was too much freeboard, which is from the water line to the top of the hull, is the of your where the two holes connect right there, is your bulwarks or whatever. That's your freeboard. And so there's a ratio, and there's all kinds of different boats, and if you're going downwind like you would be going to the South Pacific, you can still get a production boat and just go for it. It'll change your life, and I think to the people that are thinking about it, go for it. And if you have any questions or anything like that, I'd be happy to answer them for you. But so I'll just kind of briefly show you a little thing here. So on the top one, what we have here is a full keel, okay, with a barn door rudder, okay. And as you can see here, the barn door rudder is connected with a pintle gudgeon system, and bolted on, very strong, okay. If this boat goes aground and touches bottom right here, the rudder is not going to be compromised. The boat's going to hit the edge, and the bottom of the ground's going to hit the bottom of the keel first, and then it's not going to affect the rudder, and it has a less chance of being damaged. Okay. Now, on a spade rudder right here and a fin keel, which is, I've had a lot of Ichiban was that way, my Columbia, and I had a Cal 28 that was the same way, and a Catalina 27, and they are all, a lot of boats are configured that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. But some things to think about is that you do go aground, and when you have a spade rudder like this, it is fully exposed to if it hits a rock or when it lays over, and I've gone aground and I've had to take a crowbar and bend back the rudder so that under the water so that I could sail home. Okay? That wouldn't happen on that boat. And when you're out in the middle of the South Pacific, or you're in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere, the Canary Islands, and wherever you end up, if you're a world traveler, you do not want your rudder or boat to break down. That's your livelihood. It's everything you are, and that's your life source and your home. So I think that this time around we just got a new boat, and that new boat is a Choi Lee Looters Offshore 36. And some of the things that are different about cruising boats, on our Columbia, there was no storage. Everywhere there would be a compartment, there's the water tank, and then another spot would be the fuel tank, and then under the settee there was the battery bank. And so after you had all of these canned goods and stores and clothes and stuff that you want to fill the boat up with before you go cruising, there's nowhere to put it. And and I had to build a lot of shelves and do a lot of modification, and that's a lot of work and stuff. And so a lot of people enjoy doing that kind of work, and I think that's great. But for me, I like to sail, and I don't want to be working on the boat for 10 years before I get to go sailing. I want to sail now, and that's the best part of having a sailboat to me, is sailing it and getting to live these beautiful memories, and letting that sailboat take you to places that will blow your mind. And to me, that's what thank you. To me, that's what sailing is about. And so the difference now between Ichiban, our Columbia, and this new boat, this Choi Lee Looters Offshore, is that now you have a full keel with a barn door rudder. Okay, you got 80 gallons of water that's below in the keel. All right, so you got a giant water tank in the keel instead of above the water line like on Ichiban, the Columbia. And you got a lot less freeboard. Makes a big difference. Okay, at sea there's a thing called a good tracking boat. A good tracking boat will be able to stay and hold a course without squirreling and being very unstable, in my opinion. Uh, Now, when you're doing beer can races and you want to you're sailing in close quarters, um, like my Cal 28, you push the thing off the dock, you throw the sails up, and you go out sailing, and you never turn the engine on. You sail up the channel, pull right into the slip, lower the main. It's total control, and which is also total freedom, because if that engine dies, and it will, you still have the confidence that you can get that boat back to wherever it needs to be in tight quarters. And that's an important thing also, uh, even in a full keel boat, because there's a lot of different kinds of full keel boats that that have better sailability than others. Okay. Um, for instance, you can have a 36-foot boat like our Choi Lee. Okay, the Choi Lee is 15,000 pounds, 10-foot 3 beam, um, and it's kind of a slender boat, but fast. And because of the not being so beamy, and the longer the water line, and with a skinnier beam, you're going to have a faster sailing boat. Now, as the beam increases, so does all your living space. So you can see while that would be a desirable asset to have. So when you come down into a tie on a 37, it will blow your mind, because it's almost like twice as big as when you come down in our Choi Lee, and it's only 1 foot bigger. So there lies a balance there that uh, is is just kind of up to you, and it's up to the boats that are available, that are within your price range also. And and I we were looking for all kinds of boats, and tie on a 37 was definitely one of them. And but the boat that we ended up getting was the Choi Lee. And there's a lot of really good boats out there, but when you're looking for a cruising boat, your range and selection goes way down. There's a million Catalinas out there. There's a million Cows. There's a million Columbias, and a million of a lot others just like it. But the cruising boats are harder to find, and they're more expensive, and you have to be really selective when a boat's been cruised for 10 years and comes into harbor, and, as they call it, put away wet. That's something that you need to know, and that you need to be able to see the signs of, and know what to look for. And but yeah, I mean, go sailing, go get the boat, and good luck to you.